Hey everybody, it's Charlie. Surprise, surprise. You guys may have heard the news that apparently the TV show is going to be doing Godspeed. They're currently filming season 5, episode 18. There were early reports that the title of that episode was going to be, wait for it, Godspeed. But a number of news outlets were reporting the news without posting any kind of evidence or anything like that, so I was waiting to actually see if we got any pictures or any kind of video from behind the scenes, and turns out we just did. So we'll break it down. The preview that we got also tells us a little bit about the story they're using him for in the context for where he appears and what's going on when he actually shows up. And because they've already done the big Speed Force storm on the Flash TV show, I do have a theory about how they can use Crisis on Infinite Earths as a way to explain how August Hart gets his Speed Force abilities and then eventually becomes Godspeed. So of course, we'll do a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite Godspeed moment from the comics on the video. There have been so many of you asking if they would ever do Godspeed on the TV show, and the producers have always deflected and say, we're not going to be doing big speedster characters besides what's going on with Reverse Flash this season. So the funny thing is they're not totally lying because of the way they're using Godspeed when he appears on the TV show, and I think that they're setting something up for a larger arc during season 6, which I'll explain. But lo and behold, thanks to a film student that was camping the set in Vancouver, we actually have visual evidence. We have touchdown. Godspeed has hit the Flash TV show. So take a look at the costume. We can freak out about that because it does look like a relatively accurate adaptation of Godspeed's comic book suit. But based on what else is going on in the pictures, we have a really good idea of what his story is when he appears during episode 18. So just a reminder that that's what they're filming here. The next episode is going to be 15. That's the King Shark vs. Grodd episode. So Godspeed is still several weeks away because there is no new Flash next week. It's the week after that, so still 2 more weeks before we get a new episode. But this is what the suit looks like with no special effects, no color correction, no special lighting, so you have to assume that it's going to pop a lot more on screen when he actually appears in the real finished episode, just like Zoom or Savitar when they're not lit up. And I'm assuming because of the white costume with the yellow highlights that he will be crackling with yellow Speed Force lightning like he does in the comics. Yellow just pops a little bit more on that white background. That's why the actual highlights, like the little lines on his suit, are yellow themselves, just because they stand out so much. Even if you're not a big comic book reader, you already know Godspeed is one of the more badass speedsters in the DC universe, but he's not the fastest. The reason why he's so dangerous is one, because he's mastered his abilities much more than the other speedsters have, but the real reason why he's able to beat the Barry Allen Flash so handily is because of his signature move. He can move so fast that he can create a genuine duplicate of himself without having to create a time remnant. So quick explainer about his abilities. The reason why his name is Godspeed is because, as the saying goes, only God can be in all places at once, and Detective August Hart, once he gets the Speed Force, learns to create multiples of himself. His ability is Savitar-proof, though. It's a master molecule situation, so when he splits himself in two, he does become weaker, but he's basically taking his own biology and creating another version of himself. He's not jumping into the time stream to pluck another version of himself from a different point in time to team up with himself. So that's why the Black Flash or Time Wraiths aren't chasing him down at every turn when he creates duplicates of himself. His greatest weakness is that when he creates the duplicate, he's severely weakened in both of those two forms. So if you have other multiple speedsters teaming up, that's usually how you take him down. I know a lot of you are wondering, though, what happens if you kill Godspeed's duplicate, or if you kill Godspeed, would his duplicate become the main version of Godspeed? And there's actually no context for that yet. They haven't tested it. What happened during Rebirth is that Wallace West jumped in to team up with Barry Allen against the duplicate Godspeeds, and they were forced to reform. So that's the way they defeated him. Based on the other stuff that's going on in the background of these pictures, it seems like he's either pursuing Nora in the future, like this 2049 storyline, or he's doing something with her. Maybe other people in the future find out what she's doing with Reverse Flash, and those forces move to stop her, and Godspeed is just an agent of that. The reason why you can tell that it's the future is because look at that banner in the background. It says Central City Citizen. That's Iris's newspaper. So even though there's not a date on it, it just lets you know that it's after Iris's newspaper turns into a full-blown news agency. There's also the news feature depicting a Flash comic book moment with a villain that we haven't seen on the show yet. And the way that the TV show explains comic books is that all the Flash comic books that they were selling inside the Flash Museum were based on the life of our version of Barry Allen that we're watching on the TV show right now. So in this universe, on Earth 1, in the future, DC Comics is created. They start making comic books based on the Earth 1 heroes. So it's a very cool, very meta Easter egg, but this actual comic book panel is from Flash Volume 2, number 84, during the Mark Waid era of The Flash. So the person that's in that red Flash costume is actually the ginger Wally West, not Barry Allen, fighting a villain called Razor. His big thing is that he wears this special Teflon suit that can get it cut through anything. That's why he's called Razor, because he cuts stuff. In the story depicted by this comic book panel, he was hired by an evil developer to extort money from competing businesses. He'll destroy them if they don't pay up. Then, as you would expect, the Wally West Flash tries to take him down. The other really cool Easter egg, too, is that Tina McGee is also a character during this comic book issue. Obviously, Tina McGee, big character on the Flash TV show. We haven't seen her in a while, but this is just confirmation that the Flash TV show will probably do that Razor character in some future episode next season. They call their shots a lot, like when Abracadabra names all those villains off and he names the Thinker, then later in the season, Savitar also, for a second time, name drops the Thinker, then he became the villain during season 4.
Here it is. In the future, you and I have been enemies for years. Oh, there have been others. Of course. There's Thawne, Zoom, DeVoe. But none of them hurt you like Savitar.
This is where we came up with the cerebral inhibitor to use against DeVoe. Who?
So rule of thumb, anytime you see a comic book panel on the Flash TV show like inside the Flash Museum and he's fighting a character that we haven't seen yet, it means that they're going to do that character in a future episode at some point. I know there are a billion more questions about Godspeed, but if you look at the stuntman that's in the suit, he looks a little bit bigger. It looks like he's going to be a little bit older in this future timeline when he encounters Nora. So I assume that when he shows up, it's just him in the costume speaking with a modulated voice, so that they can then later cast an actual actor for August Hart. Maybe they know who that's going to be, maybe they don't know, maybe they're just going to wait till next season, but I'm guessing that he probably only appears briefly in these future scenes for now. We don't see him in present day quite yet. So that during season 6, we meet a younger version of August Hart who comes to work at the Central City Police Department as a detective, eventually gets paired up with Barry Allen, and we can slowly see his origin story play out over the course of season 6 or season 7, whatever their plan is for developing Godspeed as a character on the show. Because I think the reason why they would do Godspeed this way, like show you full-blown Godspeed before they show you August Hart, is because they recognize that he is like the most popular Flash character besides Barry Allen in the world right now. So pretty much anybody, even if you don't read comics, you probably know who Godspeed is. And as a fan, they don't want to make you go through the excruciating process of showing you August Hart and then making you wait an entire year to see whether or not he's going to turn into Godspeed. They're calling their shot, Babe Ruth style. We are definitely doing Godspeed. Then the drama of why he becomes Godspeed will be the story of a future season in some form, whatever their plans are for August Hart on the TV show. So for now, just consider the story of August Hart and the story of Godspeed two different things, and we'll just see the Godspeed stuff Accelerated Man style. Remember when Accelerated Man showed up during season 3? We didn't get a really big story, he just did a bunch of cool stuff, and then we didn't see him again till next season. That might be what happens with Godspeed during season 5. Just like, here's a really badass thing that we're going to turn into a bigger story in a future season. Remember they said that they weren't going to do a speedster as the main villain during season 5, and true to form, Reverse Flash is not the main villain, even though there's a lot of subtext there, and obviously Godspeed doesn't seem like he's a huge character during season 5. So if they do him during season 6, it's also another way to do a speedster as a main villain without doing him as a main villain, because Godspeed is more like the Red Hood of the Flash family, more of an anti-hero than a straight-up villain, because it's sort of a fall from grace, because August Hart becomes one of Barry Allen's best friends before he gets Speed Force powers and turns into Godspeed. So we'll talk more about his backstory if we learn a little bit more about what the TV show is going to do with him this season. But let me know in the comments, if they're doing Godspeed in the future timeline now, what do you want them to do with August Hart during season 6? Because fingers crossed, what they could do is they could use Crisis on Infinite Earths as a way to explain how August Hart gets Speed Force powers during season 6 in present day if they bring him on the show. Post all your reactions in the comments below. We'll freak out about this for a while. There'll be a bunch of trailers posting in the next couple of weeks, so just look out for that. I'll do videos for everything. New Marvel Phase 4 posting tonight as well. Click here to rewatch that Flash, King Shark vs. Grodd trailer video, and click here for my brand new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer with a new Avengers Endgame timeline of major events. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.